Even before the Arab Spring, the Islamic Revolution in Iran was a popular uprising that brought a major political and social transformation to West Asia. It was one of the most influential events in global politics in the latter half of the 20th century. The revolution was remarkable because it was led by a religious cleric from exile and succeeded in overthrowing the Shah, the all-powerful ruler of Iran. The success of this revolution also became an example of how religious fundamentalism, once unleashed, can become impossible to control. Following the victory of the Islamic Revolution, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi abandoned power and fled to Egypt on January 16, 1979. The revolutionary leader Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini returned to Iran and assumed control of the government. Khomeini declared that Iran had been liberated from the Shah's dictatorship. By the end of 1979, a new constitution based on Islamic law, Sharia, came into force in Iran. Only later did the Iranian people realize that they had been led away from the freedoms enjoyed in a reformed democratic society into the rigid controls of Sharia law. The first protest led by religious leaders in Iran was the tobacco protest of 1891. In 1890, the ruling Shah, Nasser al-Din Shah, granted the British a 50-year monopoly over the production, sale, and export of tobacco. This decision was a severe blow to the local population, as nearly 200,000 people depended on tobacco cultivation and trade for their livelihood. Due to widespread public protest, the Shah was forced to reverse the decision within 2 years. Encouraged by this success, people began demanding more civil rights, which led to the formation of a parliament called the Majlis in 1911. As the Shah's authority weakened, military leaders rose to prominence. In 1921, General Reza Khan, commander of the Persian Cossack Brigade, seized power through a coup. In 1925, the Majlis declared him the supreme ruler. He later adopted the name Reza Shah and founded the Pahlavi dynasty. Reza Shah implemented various economic, social, and political reforms. He replaced Islamic laws with Western-style legal systems and banned traditional Islamic dress. Women were prohibited from wearing the niqab and the chador, and measures were taken to eliminate gender segregation and reduce discrimination against women. These reforms triggered violent uprisings by religious fundamentalists, in which many people were killed. During World War II, Reza Shah's pro-German stance led Britain and the Soviet Union to remove him from power. His 22-year-old son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, was installed as the new Shah. Iran remained under Soviet influence until 1946, and political instability continued. Tensions arose between the Shah and the pro-Soviet Prime Minister Ahmad Qavam, while the Iranian Communist Party, Tudeh Party, increased its involvement in governance. Separatist movements emerged in Iranian Azerbaijan and Iranian Kurdistan with Soviet support, creating major challenges for the government. Since 1901, Iran's oil resources had been controlled by the British-owned Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. In 1951, the democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh nationalized the oil industry, expelling the British. This made Mossadegh a national hero. Britain responded with sanctions and naval threats, though U.S. President Harry S. Truman refused to support military action. Mossadegh closed the British embassy in Tehran in 1952 and expelled British diplomats. After Dwight D. Eisenhower became U.S. President in 1952, American policy shifted. In collaboration with Britain, the CIA orchestrated a coup on August 15, 1953, with support from many Shia clerics. Though the first attempt failed and the Shah fled to Italy, a second coup on August 19 succeeded. Mossadegh was placed under house arrest, and General Fazlollah Zahedi was appointed prime minister. The Shah returned and consolidated power, forming close ties with the United States. In 1963, the Shah launched the White Revolution, a series of reforms including land redistribution, literacy campaigns, women's suffrage, and labor welfare. Religious leaders and landlords opposed these reforms, fearing a loss of influence. Corruption increased, and dissatisfaction grew among intellectuals, workers, and urban populations. Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini emerged as the leading religious opponent of the Shah. In 1963, he led protests against the White Revolution and accused the Shah of destroying Islam. He was arrested, sparking nationwide riots in which dozens were officially reported dead, though unofficial estimates were much higher. After release, Khomeini continued criticizing Iran's cooperation with Israel and the United States. In 1964, he was arrested again and exiled, spending most of the next 15 years in Najaf, Iraq. During exile, he wrote Islamic Government, advocating a Sharia-based state. His speeches were recorded on cassette tapes and widely circulated in Iran. Economic inequality worsened during the 1970s oil boom. Inflation soared, foreign workers flooded the country, and austerity policies hurt ordinary people. Religious leaders used these grievances to mobilize public opposition. In 1977, the progressive Islamic thinker Ali Shariati died under mysterious circumstances, leading to protests. In 1978, demonstrations intensified after police killed hundreds of students in Qom. Protests escalated nationwide, with cinemas, banks, and Western symbols attacked. Despite attempts at liberalization, the Shah failed to control the unrest. On January 16, 1979, he fled Iran permanently. Khomeini returned on February 1, rejected the existing government, and formed a revolutionary administration. A referendum in March established the Islamic Republic, and by the end of 1979, a Sharia-based constitution was implemented. Although the revolution succeeded in overthrowing the Shah, strict controls were imposed on personal freedoms, dress codes, and lifestyles. Mandatory hijab laws were enforced. The death of Mahsa Amini in police custody in 2022 during protests against the hijab law drew global attention and revived debate over whether the revolution truly improved the lives of Iranians.